Okay, let's dive in. The online world is it's a constant flood.
Oh, absolutely.
Articles, posts, headlines just flying past every second. It feels like a fire hose.
Yeah, trying to find the actual signal and all that noise. Wow, it's tough.
It really is. You see things trending, you get a vague sense, but figuring out why it matters or how it connects to, the bigger picture, that's the challenge.
Exactly. And that's kind of what we're trying to do here today.
Right. We've pulled together a whole stack of sources, basically, today's buzzing posts and the context around them.
Think of it like a snapshot. What conversations are actually happening right now across different places online?
So we're going to jump into these threads, unpack the key bits, and help you connect the dots. We've got a real mix today, too.
Yeah, everything from sports deals, fast food comebacks
To big shifts in tech, politics, economics, even like how the timeline for the American dream might be changing.
It's about giving you that shortcut, getting past just seeing the buzz to actually understanding the forces behind it.
So let's unpack the stack. Let's see what we find. Starting on the sports field, football buzz.
Sounds good. We saw that post from @Jacobspin about Nico Williams at Athletic Bilbao.
Right, Ben Jacobs. He reported the 22-year-old winger is in initial talks to renew his contract there.
And the detail that really jumped out was the salary potentially pushing $10 million.
Wow, $10 million. That's huge for a 22-year-old. And the post suggested his release clause might go up too from the current $58 million.
Exactly. And that $58 million number is key because that's why clubs like Arsenal and Chelsea are apparently interested. The context, we saw notes, they see value there, but the wages and agent fees, that's maybe the sticking point. The transfer fee itself might be okay, but the total package, maybe too high.
And what makes this whole thing fascinating is Athletic Bilbao itself.
Right.
Their policy.
Yeah, that incredible Basque-only player policy since 1910. It's legendary.
That must shape everything they do.
Totally. And the source suggested that if Williams does stay, it might show a bit of a trend, Young players may be prioritizing loyalty, financial security at their home club instead of just chasing trophies immediately.
And he did sign that extension back in 2023, didn't he? Until 2027.
Right, that supports the idea. Plus, his performance backs it up 9 goal contributions in 25 La Liga matches this season. He's valuable.
And Arsenal's interest isn't exactly new either, is it? ESPN said they've been scouting him since April 2025.
Yeah, so it's been on their radar for a while.
This whole case is such a good window into modern football transfers, isn't it?
Definitely. It's not just talent or a clause. It's player priorities, club identity, scouting, timing, all of it tangled together before the transfer window madness really kicks off.
It makes you wonder, could we be seeing a bit of a shift where, security and status at a loyal club become just as tempting for some young stars as the big super clubs?
It adds another layer, absolutely. That comfort and status at home. Maybe it's gaining ground.
Okay, sticking with sports but switching codes. Let's talk rugby. @Bernard Jackman posted about Connacht Rugby.
Yes. He said they found their new head coach and called the announcement a real statement of intent.
That phrase, statement of intent, really grabs you, doesn't it?
It does. It suggests this isn't just filling a role. It's a big strategic move for them.
Especially given Connacht's history. The context mentioned they face huge challenges, nearly got shut down back in 2003.
Right. But they've shown real resilience, grown, even reached the Heineken Champions Cup knockouts recently.
So they've built this momentum, and this hire is framed as, pushing to the next level.
Exactly. The Post didn't name names, but the buzz around it. Stuart Lancaster seems to be the hot rumor.
Formerly England, Leinster, most recently Racing 92.
That's the one. High profile. Landing someone like him would absolutely be a statement of intent.
Yeah, it's not just tactics, is it? It's the reputation, attracting players, sending a signal about ambition.
It just shows how a key leadership hire can be transformative, especially for a team like Connacht, aiming higher after overcoming so much. Sets a new standard.
All right, let's pivot completely. From the rugby pitch to fast food. This one got a lot of reaction online. From @Popeyes.
Yes, the McDonald snack wrap saga. The big news is they're apparently coming back July 10th, 2025.
July 10th, that's so specific, feels locked in. And this is a big deal because they vanished back in 2016, right? In the U.S. at least.
Yeah, the context said it was because of kitchen complexity. They just slowed things down too much.
Right, fitting them into the workflow. But the amazing part is the fan reaction. The source highlighted this. A 9-year campaign.
9 years, petitions,
Yeah.
daily tweets. It really shows you persistence pays off sometime.
Apparently, the context even mentioned the McDonald's social media manager getting emotional about it.
That's wild, but the source also flagged the timing, which is, well, it's interesting.
Very interesting. This comeback lines up almost exactly with Popeyes launching their chicken wraps on June 2nd.
Right, $3.99 each. So people are talking rap war, and the source noted some replies on X were like, oh, McDonald's is just reacting to Popeyes.
So is it fan demand or savvy competition? Or both?
Probably a mix. And the source described the new wraps using McCrispy strips, ranch, and spicy flavors. That ties into their McCrispy line, which has been a hit.
The buttermilk chicken one. They just launched a McCrispy CBO in Austria too, right? June 3rd.
Yeah, shows they're leaning into that McCrispy success. Maybe they figured out how to make the wraps work efficiently now using those existing McCrispy operations, solve the old complexity problem.
Smart. Leverage what's already working.
It really makes you ask, how much do these huge companies bend to customer screams and how much is just smart market timing and strategy? Feels like both crash together here.
Classic consumer voice meets corporate strategy. Okay, let's shift back to pop culture. Music news. At Sabrina and Lim, Sabrina Carpenter shared something.
Yes, new single. It's called Manchild, dropping this Thursday, June 5th, 8 p.m. EST.
And the producer is a big name, Jack Antonoff.
Huge name, Taylor Swift, Lord. Working with him is definitely a signal, especially after her Grammy-winning album, Short and Sweet. Keeps momentum high.
Right, and the visuals. The promo image showed her hitchhiking in a desert.
Yeah, and that fits with a teaser campaign. The context mentioned billboards with lyrics like, I swear they choose me, I'm not choosing them.
Okay. Suggests themes of agency, relationships, maybe feeling pulled around.
Seems like it, but then there's this really specific detail the source pointed out on the special 7-inch vinyl release, the B-side title.
Oh yeah, get this. Inside of your head when you've just won an argument with a man.
Wow, okay. That title, plus Manchild, plus those lyrics, it points pretty strongly towards commentary on relationships, gender dynamics, maybe some frustration.
Totally suggests a satirical edge, maybe feminist undertones, which kind of fits her recent vibe, right? Catchy pop with sharp observations.
It's a great example of how artists use everything now, title, producer, art, teasers, even a B-side title, to build a whole narrative.
Gets people talking and interpreting before the song's even out.
Shows the strategy behind the whole release package. It's all part of the message.
Okay, let's dive into something with potentially massive implications. Techworld.ai. A post from at NS123ABC flagged a big move.
Yeah, this is about Anthropic cutting off Windsurf's API access to their Claude models. Just pulled the plug.
And the impact is pretty immediate, right? The context said Windsurf loses direct access to Claude 3.x in less than 5 days, and never got Claude 4 directly anyway.
That's a super tight turnaround for anyone relying on Windsurf's tools.
So, the why. The context linked it to competitive tension because OpenAI reportedly bought Windsurf for, $3 billion back in April?
Okay, that connects the dots perfectly. Anthropic is OpenAI's big rival.
So they're likely blocking OpenAI from using Claude models, or importantly, the data flowing through Windsurf's API, maybe to train OpenAI's own models. It's defensive.
Exactly. And Windsurf is a big deal. The context called it a leading AI native IDE. That's like the toolkit developers use for coding. Over 1 million users.
So losing direct access to a core AI model like Claude on short notice, that's a huge operational headache for them.
Huge. They'll have to switch quickly to other providers, which the source notes could mean higher costs, more complexity for Windsurf and its users.
This one event really puts a spotlight on the fierce competition, the strategic chess game happening at the top of AI development.
Yeah, the context framed it well. Anthropic prioritizing sustainable partnerships as competition heats up, especially with Anthropic's own Claude code and OpenAI pushing coding tools too.
So what does this kind of move, aggressively cutting off access for a rival's new acquisition, tell us about where AI is heading? Is controlling access to these big models the new battleground?
It really feels like it.
Yeah.
Control over the best models and the data they generate. That seems critical. We might see more walled gardens, companies being super careful about who builds on their tech, basically trying to stop rivals from benefiting.
Okay, from tech strategy straight into policy and politics around AI. We saw at Rep MTG spark a discussion about AI regulation in a specific bill.
Right. She posted pretty strongly against one provision in the OBBB Act, even though she actually voted for the bill.
And the provision, based on her post and the context mentioning pages 278, 279, basically stops states from making their own AI laws for 10 years, centralizes control federally.
Yeah. Her argument, as the source laid it out, is that it violates state rights. And it's just dangerous given how fast AI is changing and how unpredictable it is. She framed it like she wasn't fully aware of that part when she voted.
The context added some useful background, too. That Stanford study from 2024 found 40% of U.S. businesses use AI, but only 25% have solid governance rules in place.
That gap is huge, isn't it, between adoption and actual governance?
Yeah, it highlights the massive challenge for lawmakers. The tech is sprinting ahead, getting embedded everywhere, while the rules are still trying to catch up. Her point about unpredictability really hits home.
It makes you think, doesn't it? How does the sheer speed of tech, like AI, just naturally create these tension points, these blind spots in the whole legislative process? They're trying to regulate something that's morphing under their feet.
Right. You end up with this reactive situation laws lagging behind, or maybe broad rules like this one that could have unexpected consequences later.
Okay, let's connect policy to economics. There was that discussion at Rand Paul agreeing with Elon Musk about government spending.
Yes, they both seemed focused on what they called massive waste. Rand Paul mentioned another $5 trillion in debt as a mistake.
Although the CBO number, that's the Congressional Budget Office, right, the nonpartisan scorekeeper, they put the figure for the bill they're likely talking about at $3.8 trillion over 10 years. Still a huge number, either way.
Right, still massive. They see it as fiscally irresponsible, and the context clarified the bill, probably that House spending bill from May 22nd, part of Trump's agenda.
Yeah, the Tax Foundation apparently analyzed it. $4.5 trillion in tax cuts versus only $1.7 trillion in spending cuts. And it repeals EV tax credits.
Okay, so that explains their concern. Big deficit increase from tax cuts, not matched by spending cuts. And the source noted Paul and Musk often align on cutting waste. Musk even reposted Paul's lists back in 2024.
Yeah, they have a history there. And the replies to Paul's post, mentioned in the context, seem to echo that frustration about waste. One user cited DOGI finding $170 billion in annual waste.
Shows it's not just them, right? It hits a nerve with some people who feel spending isn't efficient or accountable.
And the source briefly tied this back to Musk's general interest in efficiency, disruption.
Right, referencing his comments on drones versus the F-35, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's like he applies that engineering mindset, max output, min waste, not just to rockets or cars, but to government spending too, challenging the status quo.
So what does it tell us when you see voices from politics, tech, business all converging on this government spending issue? Does it amplify the debate?
It definitely seems to raise its profile, brings it to way more eyeballs, suggests these critiques aren't just stuck in political circles anymore. They're major discussion points across different platforms, pushed by really influential figures.
Okay, zooming out from specific spending bills to a more fundamental economic benchmark, that post from @NWorkness about first-time homebuyers.
Yeah, that data point was really striking, the median age.
Yeah.
It jumped from 28 back in 1980 to 38 now in 2024.
A full decade later, that's more.
10-year delay in hitting that traditional milestone. And the post framed it starkly. The American dream is disappearing.
And the context backs that up, pointing to the obvious drivers. Housing affordability, wages not keeping pace. The numbers are just wild. Median home prices went from, $47,000 in 1980 to nearly $400,000 or more now.
Yeah, somewhere between $385K and $420K in 2024. It's an insane jump, far outpacing typical wage growth. The context even said housing economists called it a crisis back in 2022. It's not getting better.
No. And it's complex, right? The source mentions systemic stuff. Zoning laws, Fed rate policies, regulations adding costs that a DOGI.gov figure suggested regulations add 24% to costs.
It's a mix of things making it so much harder to get onto the property ladder. And the source had that specific 2023 stat. First-time buyers, average age 35 then, needed a median income of almost $96,000 for a starter home.
$96,000 median income for a starter home. That just puts the affordability crisis in sharp focus for so many people.
Totally. So, beyond the numbers, what does it mean for society when a key milestone like buying a home, traditionally tied to building wealth and stability, gets pushed back a decade or becomes totally out of reach for more and more people?
It's got huge knock-on effects, hasn't it? Generational wealth, when people start families, community stability. If you can't buy till you're 38, or maybe never, it changes your whole economic path, your sense of security. Impacts everyone.
It really does, a fundamental shift.
So, as we wrap up this dive into today's chatter, maybe just a quick moment on one last post we saw from @WordsCocoon. Just a simple image, Tokyo street scene, caption, today's work, tomorrow's success.
Yeah, amidst all the huge trends, the policy fights, market shifts, economic data, that post felt like a quiet anchor. A reminder of the daily effort, the personal goals happening all the time.
The context mentioned a Tokyo taxi, pedestrians, the city's efficiency, and that motivational theme fits the account.
It's a nice contrast, isn't it? The individual focusing on their grind, their future, day by day, while all these massive forces we've been talking about are swirling around them.
Yeah, brings it back to the human scale, individual lives navigating this complex world.
So we've definitely covered a lot today, pulled threads from all over the online buzz.
Yeah, from football deals and rugby strategy to snack wraps making a comeback thanks to fans and maybe some market timing.
To those big moves in AI, the resulting policy debates, the amplified arguments over government spending.
And finishing with that stark look at home ownership and what it might mean for the American dream before that little moment of personal focus from Tokyo.
What this kind of deep dive shows, I think, is how if you look closely at these individual posts, these bits of info flying by, you can actually see some fascinating connections and bigger trends.
Stuff you might miss just scrolling.
Exactly. We tried to go beyond just seeing the post to understanding the context, the so what,
Yeah.
why it's buzzing now.
Hopefully this gave you a clearer picture of some key conversations happening today, helped connect a few dots.
Maybe a final thought to leave you with. Given how fast tech is moving, how complex the economy feels, how people are trying to navigate it all, what other big shifts might be happening right now under the surface that we haven't fully grasped the long-term impact of yet?
Something to keep an eye on, definitely.